You know, watching this, I was thinking to myself, I was like, man, this seems like what it would be like to live with Kanye West. Like, I'm dead ass.
Wow, that's a great comparison.
What we know of him, I was just like, man, is this what Kim be going through? Like, I could 100% see it.
That's an interesting take.
Yeah.
That I cannot argue. I'm not even mad at it.
Yeah.
What's going on, folks? Welcome back to Cinecism. I'm Eric.
It's your boy Dante, man, and today we're going to be doing a review on the Netflix original Malcolm and Marie.
Yeah. So the movie is about Malcolm and Marie who come home after celebrating a night for Malcolm, who is a successful, what was the term you used?
I said filmmaker.
Filmmaker, who's celebrating a critical success of his newly released film. They come home after celebrating and slowly they start to argue, but it's deeper than that. Yeah. The movie primarily takes place, exclusively takes place in the confines of their home. It's just a very dialogue-heavy film. It's basically an emotional roller coaster the entire way through. Ups and downs. More downs than ups, though, I will say.
That's very fair. When the movie first started, we don't know Malcolm and Marie. We get to know them, interestingly enough, through the arguments. That's how we get to know a lot about their backstory and whatnot. But clearly, they've been together for a nice little while. They have a lot of history. And through that, like, you know, I'm sure any relationship, long-term relationship, there seems to be a lot of underlying issues that it seems like a lot of it is coming to head tonight. It starts with one topic that's relevant to this night specifically, and then it starts to just morph into the problems they have with each other for the entirety of their relationship. It get kind of bad. So we get to experience this fight right there with them.
Man, listen, man. The way they was talking to each other, I was like, just slap me. Just hit me. Yeah. I'd rather you just hit me than just say that shit that you saying.
I agree.
Fresh Out Malcolm, played by John David Washington. He's a filmmaker coming off the success of his newly released film that he had been working on for quite some time. He's really proud. He's happy. He's just on the high at the beginning of the movie. He's really proud of the work he put in and his accomplishments. And he wants his girlfriend, Marie, to bask in that success with him. But we soon find out that she has a lot of things that she's been internalizing before the start of the movie that comes to light soon after. He's charismatic, loud at times, but also quiet sometimes too. He's an interesting character.
Yeah, he's a very passionate guy, specifically about his filmmaking. You hear him talk a lot about his art, and clearly he cares a lot about it. This seems to be a project that he's been working on or trying to get accomplished over the course of many years. So, you know, to have it finally pay off and to be received so well, like Eric said, he's on a high completely. Seems like something that him and Marie have kind of been working on together. So I think he's also really excited about that because it's kind of like a victory for them, not just him. He definitely seems to be narcissistic. I say he's a bit vengeful in the way that he speaks sometimes. I think he don't really know when enough is enough sometimes. It just seems like he might be in his own world, like maybe consumed by his work and kind of neglectful to Marie at times, but you can tell he really loves her. Did you like him? Yeah, I feel like that's a multi-layered question. Yeah.
I like some aspects of him. I guess the passion I appreciated for his work. As a person, I guess he was a little, I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't want to say sociopathic because I feel like that's a bit extreme.
Yeah, but it's elements.
But he had qualities.
Yeah, it's elements.
The way he was talking.
Yeah, she described him as an emotional terrorist. I'd say that's kind of accurate. And from what I saw, even when it came to his filmmaking, I appreciated his passion, but at the same time, he seemed very snobbish too. Like it's like he was trying to be a purist, but because of that, he was snobbish. Like I don't know. It was weird.
That's the problem with people who are so into some things. They develop like an elitist mentality sometimes where they feel like they are the most knowledgeable or the most experienced or the best at something that they're interested in or something that they do. Let's talk about Marie. I feel like we deconstructed him pretty well.
Yes.
So you got Marie, man, and shit. She ain't no goddamn better. I mean, she seems like maybe a better person, I guess. She seems a very emotionally vulnerable, who has gone through a lot from drug addiction to attempted suicide. She's basically a person that has like been broken completely down and had to build herself back up to the person that is presented to us in the film. Her and Malcolm got a lot of history together. They seen each other's ups and downs. I feel like they really developed this sense of like knowing each other, and they know what to say to get under each other's skin.
Right.
And boy, can I relate.
At a certain point, this movie was about the argument and about Zendaya's character feeling slighted. And then the movie flipped, and at a certain point, it was just a slugfest, and it became about who could hurt who the most.
Yeah.
But yeah, Zendaya's character is definitely, I would say out of the two of them, probably the person that I like the most. She seems to be the more sensible person. You know, of course, they having a fight, but I think she knew when to turn it off. And I felt like she was trying to disengage at times, but he wouldn't let her. You know, I say it. Say it.
Bro, this man be so combative. Every time I say anything, right. Today, I love her.
What you got to say, man?
No, I'm going to let you finish.
Okay.
Nah, I was just, go ahead. We can talk about it.
We gonna talk. Like Eric said, she's not perfect either. You know, she clearly done did some things in their relationship that will warrant him being upset. She's done some things for sure that I think have made him at moments question her as a partner as well. But you know, ultimately, she's just hurt. She's hurt by him not appreciating her, and she feels like he takes her for granted. And that's really the basis of where the argument starts, right?
That's the main underlying issue.
Yeah, she's also was an aspiring actress. I think she's trying to get back into filmmaking. That kind of makes its way into the argument as well. And most importantly, this movie that he's just created that's getting praised so well is more than loosely based off of her life story.
Right.
You know, and that's kind of another big pillar in the argument as well, which I thought was valid, especially given
a very fair argument.
Yeah, especially given the details of the story, with it being such an intimate story about her drug use and recovery. How'd you feel about her overall? Yeah.
These people are
These people is a great way to say it. Absolutely. Yeah. It's like, who can you really root for in this bitch?
Like, I felt her. I felt where she was coming from, and all her points I felt were very valid. It was just the initial passive aggressive nature to it that was bothersome for me.
I felt like once she actually got it out, what she was upset about, I thought it was completely
it was
valid.
just so much slow build to what her problem was every time. I was like, and then it would start off all right, and then it would just get chaotic.
Yeah.
I'm like, man, just say that shit.
Yeah.
If that's what the problem is.
Absolutely.
Because all that's going to do is add to the frustration and anger when you that slow build to the problem. It's like it was a game or something.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's what the problem is.
Right.
I
think in her way, she wanted him to guess what it was. Yeah. Like, she wanted him to know what he had did wrong.
Hey, listen, man.
Yeah,
dudes don't be knowing.
Absolutely
right?
not.
You gotta say that.
Especially a night like that, the nigga been drinking. He was clearly high on life. Office. He not thinking about that in that moment.
Definitely still empathize.
Oh, 1,000%.
If I had to pick somebody,
I'd pick Marie.
I understood where she was coming from.
Yeah.
The execution of her expression of thoughts was poorly handled.
Yeah.
But aside from that, it doesn't negate the validity of her, the points that she made.
She was 100% valid. And then another thing, I think she also might have did a slow build because she knew who he was. And she mentioned in the beginning, was like, look, I don't really want to fight tonight. And I know how you do. Like, this going to turn into a big, much bigger issue. And I think because she knew he wouldn't be able to handle it well, she just was going to, because she was, honestly, she was in the beginning not even trying to talk about it. He kind of seeing that something was wrong with her, like pressed the issue and was he kept saying, Marie. And then after a certain point, she was just like, all right, well, shoot, if you want to know.
That's a good point. She definitely was trying to avoid arguing if at all possible. And then when she did, she tried to gently or ease into whatever was troubling her. So,
it seemed like whenever she said, and then when she said her part, his response, I was like, yeah, this is probably why. Because he's like, oh, get the fuck out of here. Like, fuck what you talking. I'm just like, oh, yeah, well, I guess if I knew my girl would say some shit like that, I probably wouldn't bring it up neither.
Man, first of all, this shit was exhausting, man.
Yes.
The back and forth I was like, man, the biggest issue for me, and I'm not saying it's an issue with the movie, but just when I put myself in a position like this, I'm only going to argue with somebody for so long until I'm like, you know what, fuck it. And then I might say some things I regret, but after a while, I'm like, yo, at a certain point, I don't want to talk to you anymore because for one, I'm getting more and more upset as the more we talk. And then for two, nothing's going to be resolved when our emotional levels are this high. So let's just reconvene this shit another time. Like, I'm done talking. That don't mean we going to just be cool right now.
Right.
It's going to take a while for us to be amicable, but it's better than just standing here yelling each other's face for hours.
I agree.
You know what I'm saying?
I felt like I was fighting with Malcolm and Marie, but I literally, this movie had reached a certain point and I was just like, can people just agree to disagree and this should just be over? You know what I'm saying?
The entire movie was an argument.
I felt like that's exactly what it was. One of my issues that's kind of a minute point, but I knew it was going to become a bigger issue when I watched it, was the length of this movie. Because I knew what this movie was before I went into it. I knew it was going to be an argument between a couple, and I knew that was going to be pretty much the whole runtime. That's something that you could probably do for a short film, maybe 40 minutes, maybe an hour. This movie is almost 2 hours. It's an hour and 40 minutes of them arguing, and you get small points when they're not, but to have two people on screen going at each other for the amount of time they were and the way that they were, you just felt drained. Like by the end of this shit, I was just like, bruh, ready for it to be over. I was. And you never want to, not because in any way due to the actors and the performances, they did a stellar job, but it's just the content. You know, how long can you watch two people argue? Like, Eric just said, I don't want to argue with somebody for that long, like nowhere near that long.
I damn sure don't want to watch somebody else argue.
Hell no. And also to your point, I thought it was authenticity in some of the ways that they argued. Definitely, you know, the go too far aspect, even though I felt like this movie kind of went to an extreme. Even the off topic factor where I felt like things kind of start to spiral where it's not even about the initial point at first.
Yeah.
I thought that was done very well. It was parts of it where I was just like you said, it's like, dog, any sensible couple after a while would just not be arguing this long. It's like, fam, it's late. I'm tired. Let's just call it and I'll go to bed and let's just say that's enough is enough. But I felt like at certain points, this movie trying to make you get to know Marie and Malcolm better or to let you know that it wasn't all bad, tried to shoehorn in some good moments, but it didn't feel on brand with what was happening. Like, dog, ain't no way in hell with the shit that Depp was said to them in this fight that if this nigga got a review to his phone, she gonna be like, oh, babe, how was the review? Right. What was the review like? How'd it go? They was chilling like nothing. I'm like, no, absolutely not. It's gonna be, nigga, fuck your review, fuck your phone, all of that. Like, no, your girl ain't gonna want to hear about your review, bro. I'm sorry, not at this moment.
They cut pretty deep. I mean, particularly him, he cut pretty deep with some
he went too far.
Comments he made. And then the way they was like bouncing back from that was just crazy to me. Within that same, just in minutes, that was...
Yeah, no.
Man, no.
Yeah, absolutely not.
What did you think about them two, like their chemistry together?
You know, I thought they had a good chemistry. Yeah, I really did. I wasn't surprised by that though. I felt as though that they probably would. They two high caliber actors, so I figured as much. One of my main things with this movie is that I wish I would have got to know Malcolm and Marie a little bit more in totality instead of just in an argument, in a fight. I thought this movie would have been a lot better if we had kind of experienced them having a good night, which turned bad. Like maybe for the first half of the movie, they were getting along or they were having a pretty good night.
Yeah, it could have started at the release, party or something.
And then, well, I understand why due to the pandemic and stuff, but even if not, that would have been ideal, I think, because then we would have got to see a lot of what they were talking about in the fight instead of just reaccount it from their point of view. But even if not that, like when they got home, like been cooking it, the mac and cheese, they cook it together, have a good time, maybe get on, and then things just start getting better. You know, I thought maybe a slow progression of that would have made it better just for knowing Malcolm and Marie. Because you don't really get to know, I mean, we get to know them, but we get to know the worst shit about them.
Right.
We don't know
the normal version.
Correct. To me, I didn't feel much because I don't know these characters. You know, I was just introducing them and they brawling. Yeah, I don't know how they act normally. You know, I had nothing to compare it to.
I mean, what we know about them is what they tell us, not anything that we got to see or experience for ourselves. So it's kind of just words when you don't see that version of whoever is being portrayed.
I agree. I will say they did a great job of conveying, at least in their emotions, the weight of the history. Like, you felt it. You did feel that it was a lot of history there and a lot of love there. But at the same time, like, it would have been nice to kind of see that. If I'm in a relationship and I argue with my girl or whatnot, I think it's very important to see how people argue, because arguing with somebody is a very important aspect of your relationship. And I think a lot of it, if you're really trying to move forward, should be about conflict resolution, even though you can get off track. Mm-hmm. But I never intentionally want to argue with somebody with the intent to hurt them or to really tear them apart. I think that's just, that's cruel and unusual. The comment that he made about her suicide attempt, it was like, nigga, what are you doing? Didn't it bring up her drug use? To me, that's beyond the gloves is off. It's like, I just didn't see them progressing beyond that. I thought that should have been the end of the movie in real life. Yeah, it was uncalled for. And then it's like, nigga, about your fucking movie? Like, I would never pull that card. I think that's an unpullable card because that's too vulnerable. But if you're going to pull that card, I mean, I guess let it be the stakes a lot higher. You mad because she mad about your movie and you talk about how she almost killed herself and was on drugs? Like, nigga, I never felt like, even with the things that they said about her when they brought up her infidelity, she didn't brandish that on him like, as a weapon. He brought it up, in talking about her drug use. I never felt like she tried to attack him in that way. Like, as far as staying on topic go, I thought she tried to stay in that wheelhouse of, her being hurt and how what happened tonight has been happening throughout their relationship. I think that was her ultimate point. This nigga started talking about bitches he done fucked and all types of shit. I was like, nigga, what this got to do with your movie?
Because every time you thought he said the worst thing, right, it just kept getting progressively worse.
That was what I was worried the most about. I was like, oh my God, what's somebody gonna say now? Right.
They would sit with whatever was last said, and it's like they would think about it, and they're like, hold up.
Right, yeah.
You know what? Right now that I think about it, you ain't shit either.
Right. I would have probably enjoyed this movie more if it was more back and forth dialogue. It was a lot of somebody just talking for a long time and the other character, a lot of that, actually, just taking it in, which is not really how arguments tend to go. Like, there's interruption, especially when you say something like what he said about, I was like, oh, she ain't got nothing to say to that? I'm like, nigga, it's no way you would have got that off unscathed.
Yeah, they were really respectful with the monologues. Yeah. They would just be just like,
I ain't shit, and what, I killed myself, okay? All right, nigga, what? Like, nigga, what?
You got?
Right, no.
After somebody say one thing that I felt like it too far, I'm like, nah, hold the fuck up. You're going to be interrupted. At one point, I thought somebody was going to get killed.
Me too. I thought she got murdered.
Body out there
I felt like this movie, with what it was trying to do, it tried to also do other things too. It brought up valid points, but I wish that it would have zeroed in on something. Like, it's about Malcolm and Marie, right? They're having an argument, they're having a fight. Then there's also a really good chunk of the movie that's about filmmaking, I guess, and the authenticity. I don't know if that's true to the director or the writer, but I think they're one and the same. But yeah, they just go into filmmaking and how it's underappreciated and the critique of film. And, that becomes a very big conversation. That got nothing to do with Malcolm and Marie. Really, it's more about Malcolm, I guess. I was just like, nigga, I don't care. Like, I really don't. Like, I don't know him enough to care. That's why. That's the only reason. I mean, he was bringing up valid points about criticism of art and film and, whatever. But at the same time, with what's going on now, it seems like I felt like this movie didn't have to be as long as it was.
Yeah, I felt like that part of the movie fit more in a movie that was about an aspiring filmmaker.
Yeah, absolutely.
That had, I get that he had a passion, but that we don't care about. That's not what we watching the movie for.
Right.
We watching the movie for their relationship and how that unfolds and whatever issues they got going.
Right. How did you feel about the way this movie ended? Like, I felt like we weren't going to get a real resolution.
I already knew that's how it was. I mean, I didn't know that specifically was how it was going to end.
Right.
But I knew we weren't going to get resolution at the end. I knew that. After all the shit that we went through in this movie, movies like this always end like that.
I felt it was going to do that.
Oh, well, where they going to go from here? Right. I don't give a fuck. Anybody that's talking to somebody like that, man,
They need to break up.
Yeah.
Like, that was what
Y'all
should
need
have
to
happened.
go do something else.
Malcolm and Marie should have probably parted ways, I think. It could have been beautiful, but it was kind of problematic. She was just like, yeah, and somebody that loves you,
Toxic,
even
bro.
in spite of knowing that you'll do this again. I was just like, nigga, no.
This is an abusive relationship.
Yeah, 1,000%.
You know, it's nothing beautiful about that.
Not at all.
Personal.
No, I didn't think at the end, like, oh my God, that was so. I'm just like, no, darling, no.
Overall, Malcolm and Marie was it was a decent movie. It was some things that I did like about it. It was definitely some things I did not so much care for. The entirety of the movie is one big argument.
Yeah.
We've already established that. The individual instances of arguments were just way overextended in some parts of me. I did appreciate the way this movie was shot though. It looked beautiful. I thought it was cool that they decided to go the black and white route with it. John David Washington and Zendaya's performances were great too.
Yes.
So for that reason, I'm gonna give it a 6.5 out of 10.
Malcolm and Marie, I
watched it.
I enjoy certain things about it. I would say that the performances were extremely well done. I expect nothing less from them. I thought that they brought a true authenticity to the fight. I did care at least about the outcome. They made me care at least to that degree about the two characters involved. This movie for me is way too long. And it's all about them fighting. Like, even though the movie tries to make it seem like it's not at points, I assure you those moments are few and far between. This is one big argument. For an hour and 40 something minutes, I'm gonna give Malcolm and Marie a 6.5 as well. I can appreciate this type of content, but the way that this was done.
So that was our review of the Netflix original film, Malcolm and Marie. Hope y'all enjoyed that. As always, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to our channel, please. And if you have any suggested videos or movies or trailers or series that you'd like us to review, don't forget to drop a comment below with a suggestion.
And if you guys have seen Malcolm and Marie, I am personally very interested to see what people are saying about this movie. We appreciate y'all, man.
Yep, thanks.
Peace.